our Westminster Tuesday morning check-in time, or a time I like to call Please Don't Eat the Pansies. You see behind me, we've got our two cats, Sprite and Elf, and they are very interested in my flower display this morning. So here we are. I hope you are well and staying home as much as possible. And if you're an essential worker, I'll extend a special thank you to you for going out and making sure that we're all fed and cared for in these times. I will remind you that we are live on this page on Tuesdays at 11 for a check-in, Thursdays at 7 p.m. for evening prayer, and Sundays at 10 a.m. for prayer and reflection. And we are also part of a shared online service that takes place over at Trinity's website, Sundays at 10:30. So right after we're finished here, you can head over there and take part in that worship as well. So I thought this morning I would spend a bit of time talking about the strangeness of this time that we're in. I keep hearing people talk about this as a new normal, but nothing about what is happening in the world right now feels normal to me, new or otherwise. So I think a better term might be new, strangeness. Now, you may have settled into a routine at your house. We certainly have here. And you're probably becoming a bit more comfortable with it. But is it normal? And what's normal anyway, right? I tend to think that as we move slowly from our isolation into re-engaging with one another, first in small bubble gatherings and then with a few more people and then more, that I think that time might feel a bit more like a new normal. Things will have changed for sure, but I think that time, when it comes, will bear a little bit more of a resemblance to what we would know as normal life before COVID. But for now, we are all still in it. We are all living together in a collective trauma. COVID-19 has placed us in a situation we could not have imagined. Even 4 or 5 months ago, we could not have pictured what's happening right now. Now, last week or maybe the week before, who knows, days, calendars, a webinar that was hosted by the Reverend Dr. Sue Browning, a psychologist and United Church of Canada minister who specializes in critical incident response. She had a lot of great information in there, but I just want to highlight 2 things this morning. And one of them is what I just said. You are living in a trauma. You will have all kinds of reactions to that, everything from numbness to forgetfulness to sleep troubles and more. Your reactions will be unique to you, and they will manifest in different ways, in physical ways, emotional, psychological, and spiritual. The second thing I want to highlight is that you cannot resolve a trauma while you're still in it. That really stood out in her presentation as something that's important for us to remember. Now is the time to get from day to day to day to day. The time to process what all of that means in your body and in your life, and in how the future will look. The time to process what all this means is not now. That time will come after. Essentially, your brain is not yet ready to evaluate fully what it means for you to be living in this pandemic. This isn't something any of us can process and wrap up neatly in a package and store away as a completed task right now. We simply can't do it. None of us are ready for that step at this point because we're still in the middle of a pandemic. So I hope that's permission for you to be generous with yourself in terms of where you are right now. If you're still having moments of panic, or that numbness of the first days of isolation returns to you again, or those plans you had 8 weeks ago to clean out a closet or sort out the garage. If you haven't done those things yet, please give yourself a break. There's a reason for all that, and it's a normal response to trauma. One thing that helps is staying connected with the people in your life. So if you're having a rough day, maybe call a friend or send a text and say hello. Another thing that helps is getting outdoors. So I just wanted to highlight those couple of things for you this morning. And I also wanted to give you a few updates about life at Westminster. So a few things. Your board is still working on your behalf. We are meeting regularly via Zoom to make sure that the life and the work of our church continues on. And a huge thank you to Kim as our chair and all of our board members for being available and for doing the work that has to take place for our church to continue on right now. Secondly, I'll update you on finance. Now, our treasurer, Peter, and our finance committee chair, Craig, and myself, we've all been attending weekly webinars that have been hosted by the United Church's General Council Office regarding best practices for finance moving forward. And we are applying for federal subsidies that we are eligible for, and we're looking for other options as well. There is no question that not being in our space for worship affects our finances. So if you're not signed up for PAR already, this would be a great time to do it. Just contact the church office and Tammy will guide you through how that happens. We also have a Canada Helps option for donations, and giving envelopes can either be mailed or dropped off at the church in the mailbox. Thirdly, the garden. It's almost spring out there. Things look green. It looks really good. And what that means is that we need to get our garden in shape. Now, unfortunately, our annual sale of coupons for Trevisanuto's nursery will not be able to happen this year. We just couldn't make that work this year with Trevisanuto's. And they did try to make an effort with us, and it just wasn't going to work out with other things that are happening at their nursery this year. However, our memorial garden will still need to be tended. So here's what we're looking for. Two things. One, we are looking for someone to take the lead on organizing our gardeners. This person does not have to do all the work themselves, of course. They just need to organize the volunteers so that the weeding and watering and care is done throughout the season. So again, leave a message at the church office and Tammy will be in touch if you are willing to do that job. Secondly, we also need volunteers. Our garden coordinator organizer, whoever that's going to be, is going to need a list of names of people who would be willing to go to the church and look after the garden and do the watering as needed and just keep an eye on how things are looking there. It's such a source of great pride for us to be such a beautiful space in our neighborhood. And so we want to keep that up this summer, and especially this summer. I think when people are out walking, we want them to see something really beautiful. So if you can help out in the garden, that would be great. And speaking of gardens, my friend Allison posted this poem on the weekend as she was preparing her garden for the summer months ahead. And I thought it was really pretty. So I will share that with you. It's written by Mary de la Valette. I do not have to go to sacred places in far-off lands. The ground I stand on is holy. Here in this little garden I tend, my pilgrimage ends. The wild honeybees, the hummingbird moths, the flickering fireflies at dusk are a microcosm of the universe. Each seed that grows, each spade of soil is full of miracles. And I toil and sweat and watch and wonder and am full of love, living in peace in this place, for truth and beauty dwell here. I love that image that of each seed that grows, each spade of soil being full of miracles. This year, especially this year, watching new life emerge from the ground in trees and flowers, in vegetables growing, that is all just going to be glorious. Friends, may today find you well, and may the beauty of God's creation inspire you and fill you with hope for better days ahead. Be well, friends. Stay safe. And we'll see you back here Thursday evening, 7 p.m. for evening prayer. Thanks, everyone.